Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. I'm so excited to welcome you to yet another promising edition of the Extreme Speed Live. Well, before we kickstart the session, let's run through our morning routine. Let's confirm that we are good to go this morning. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, please type in hi in the comment section and let's get the party started. So I would like to see some feedback, please, in the comment section. If you can see my screen and you can hear my voice very clearly without distortion, please let me know in the comment section. And if there are any issues, of course, please let me know so that I can do the necessary adjustments so that we can have a better experience out here. So I would like to see some feedback. Let's see what's going on in the comment section. Okay, so I can see a handful of comments right here. 610783397. Oya Tulux, good morning to you all. 361. Zari Hamed from Netherlands says is new here. You're welcome. 350-90928. Hello, Carrie. Good morning. Glad to have you around. So I think with this handful of comments, I will consider this as a positive feedback and that we are good to go this morning. It's on this note I welcome you all once again to yet another promising edition of the Extreme Speed Live. My own name is Sheriff Daramola, and for the next 1 hour, I'm going to be your host where we shall be evaluating the financial market using simple parameters such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns to gain valuable insight into the historical price movement of the assets on our watch list for this week. Well, this week has been quite interesting. We have 4 major financial assets that we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week, which includes the USTech100, popularly known as the NASDAQ. Then we have the USOILSPOT, the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. Well, we have been monitoring these assets since the beginning of the week, and today we are going to be taking another fresh new look into this market structures of these assets to see how we can manage our existing position if we do have any, and of course strategically position ourselves ahead of today's trading session. For those who are joining us for the first time, you're highly welcome, and you might be asking, what is it that we do here? Well, as technical traders, we gather here on a daily basis in anticipation of the New York session, where we review our existing position and as well strategically position our head ahead of the New York session. So we do this on a daily basis, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time. And in fact, I encourage you to stay tuned in so you don't miss out on any of these insightful ideas we shall be deliberating on today. And in fact, you want to be part of the subsequent editions, as the more time you spend with us here, the better you get to understand how the strategy works, and at the same time you eventually be able to use the information you'll be gathering here to make your own independent trading decisions. So once again, you are highly welcome on board. So with that being said, here we shall be diving right into the business, and as usual, the first thing we normally do is to check on the economic calendar. And of course, for those who have been with me for a while now, we all know how these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information that will make us be on standby to capitalize on any potential move prior during and even after this event. So on the economic calendar, we normally focus on high impact events from economies that will be affecting the assets on our watch list. And for this week, we have been on the watch out for events from the US and the United Kingdom's economic docket. Now, yesterday we had the consumer price index, which actually came beyond expectations at 3.7%, giving us a positive deviation of 2.50. In fact, it was beyond the expectation of 3.6%, and in fact, it was also higher than the 3.2% for the previous month. So as a result of this, there is this sentiment in the market right now that there is a likelihood that the Federal Reserve is going to be increasing the interest rate for this month. So in that regard, we want to see how the market is going to be reacting to the US dollar. Of course, we should be expecting a positive traction in favor of the US dollar today. Now, for today, Thursday, September 14th, we have two high impact events from the US economic docket. The first one here is the Producer Price Index. And for those who don't know, the Producer Price Index is released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Department of Labor. It measures the average changes in prices in primary markets of the US by producers of commodities in all states of processing. Generally speaking, a high reading is considered as positive for the US dollar, while a low reading is considered as negative. Now, if we look at the previous data here, it came in at 2.4%, and economists are projecting 2.2% for the month of August. So we shall be looking forward to what the actual data will be. Is it going to be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation? Then simultaneously, and that is in about 2 hours from now, the retail sales data too will be published. And for those who don't know what the retail sales data is, this is also released by the US Census Bureau, and it measures the total receipt of retail stores. And monthly percentage changes reflect the rate of changes in such sales. And of course, a high reading is considered as positive, while a low reading is considered as negative. Now, the previous data for the retail sales was 0.7%, and economists are projecting a 0.2% expansion. And this gives us a sign that there's been a little bit contraction compared to the previous month. And of course, the same thing is also happening on the producer price index. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is, but from the speculations we have so far, it's likely that we are going to be having a contraction. And what we want to be doing here as technical traders is to try to position ourselves ahead of this event in such a way that we can capitalize on how the market reacts to this event. So with that being said, let's dive right into the chart and let's look at things from a technical standpoint, and let's see how we shall be anticipating these events for today. Now, the first asset on our watch list for today is going to be the US Oil Spot. And in fact, since the beginning of this week, remember, we have been buying this asset all the way since the market opened on Monday. And in fact, we had a couple of more buy positions here as we took advantage of this move right after the breakout of that resistance line. So at the beginning of this week, we initially identified a range where price was confined within the $86.89 level and the $86.20 level, giving us an insight into the level of indecision in this market. And of course, you know how we do it. Whenever we have this kind of range, we want to exercise patience, waiting for either a breakout of the range to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the range to give us an opportunity to sell. Now, what happened here on Monday was quite interesting as we saw price breakout, retested the resistance line there to give us our first buy force position for the week. And since then, we had continued to add more position to our existing trade. As you see, We added one more here at the $87.50 area, and we of course added one more at the $88.50 level before that sell pressure came in to take us out of all the buy positions on this one. And in fact, we saw price move significantly well. Let's see how many pips. We saw about 200 pips on the first position, and we saw about 130 pips on the second position, and we saw about 50 pips on the third position. So we had roughly of over 300 pips as at the first half of this week, which is not bad at all for us. And remember, we agreed here yesterday that we shall be moving all our stop losses to secure these positions, and of course we did, and price action took us out of all these positions with a significant amount of profit. Once again, congratulations to everyone who had been part of this profitable journey. Now, going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans? We saw sell pressure took us out of our buy positions yesterday. Are we going to continue looking out for more buying opportunities here today? Or are there chances that sellers could take over this market at this point in time? Now, before we go into the details on what it's going to be looking like for today, I would like us to run through the higher time frame so that we can have an holistic perspective into what is really going on in this market. And to do that, we shall be scaling up into the 4 hours time frame. Remember, this was where our analysis began at the beginning of the week. So let's look at this together closely. And if you look at the structure here since the last week of the month of August, it is clear that price has been on a strong bullish momentum. And in fact, we took it a step further to include this ascending trend line after connecting the series of higher lows, which of course buttresses the strength of the buyers in this market. Now, something interesting happened at the beginning of this month as we saw price confined within a range, as we have the price ranging between the $87.50 level and the $85.50 level to emphasize the uncertainty in the market during the first couple of weeks in this month. Now, with the situation we had here at the beginning of the week, we capitalized on this bullish momentum around this area, which finally led to the breakout of that range at the $87.50 level to emphatically incite a strong bullish momentum. And since price broke out of that $87.50 level, price had remained above that area. And in fact, to help us guide our trading decisions for this week, we had a trend line which we spotted since last week Friday after connecting the series of higher lows. So since the beginning of this week, we have been using this trend line to support our bullish ideas. And of course, you know that whenever we have an ascending trend line like this, we have no other choice than to continue to buy the assets. Now, with the situation we have right now, what is going to be our plans for today? Are we going to continue buying, or are we going to continue selling these assets? Now, looking at the structure closely, let's see what has been going on here. We have the $88.50 level, which happens to have been broken right now. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, please. So we have this situation right here where price action has been finding higher highs and higher lows, and we had another respect of this ascending trend line, as you will see here. So now the question is, will price continue to the upside, or are we going to be having a situation where this trend line will be broken to the downside to incite a sell-off? Now, to have a better perspective into what is likely going to be happening today, we shall be scaling down into the 1 hour time frame, where we shall be using the $88.50 level as a yardstick to guide today's trading decisions. As if price remains above that $88.50 level, we continue to hold on to a bullish bias, and if price drops below that level, then we can start considering selling this asset. Now let's look at this closely. What has been going on here? We'll scale down into the 1 hour time frame. Now on the 1 hour time frame, it becomes a little bit more clearer what is going on in this market. So you can see what we have here. So with the situation that is going on right now, if you look at what has been happening in this market since Tuesday, you will see that the area between the $89 level and the $88.50 area had been a strong selling niche in this market, and we need to be very, very careful around this area. Now with the situation here, I would like to remain bullish as long as price remains above the $88.50 level. So if you have a buy position, well done to you. Let's see if this is going to run through. But if at any point in time today price action drops below the $88.50 level, then we want to be considering selling. Now there is a caveat to this sell expectations here if price action breaks down the $88.50 level. Now look at the structure closely. The $88.50 level also shares a confluence with that ascending trend line, making it a crucial juncture in this market. So if price action breaks down the $88.50 level, price would have also broken down that ascending trend line for the first time in the last 1 week, and could be a sign that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate that bearish attempt. And if this happens, we want to be getting ready for a momentum shift. Now there is a caveat to this which I want to explain here. We are not going to be getting too excited when the price breaks down that structure. We are not having a sell stop order there. We want to wait for confirmations like a retest of structure to incite that uptrend move. Now to do this, once the breakdown of the ascending trend line happens, we scale down into our lower time frame. It could be the 5, 10 or 15 minutes time frame to look out for retest of structure. What we want to see here is a sign that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the ascending trend line, and this of course would reflect on the chart as a retest of structure to incite a downtrend scenario. So this is the only condition that will make us want to consider selling this asset for today. So besides this, we continue to hold on to a bullish bias. Now, if price action continues to climb up and instead continues to find higher highs and higher lows, then we want to be positioning ourselves just right above the $89 area to capitalize on more buying opportunities in this market. Now, there are two ways to which we can capitalize on this momentum. First one is for those of us who have been profitable since the beginning of the week. That is, if you had bought these assets since the beginning of the week and you're profitable so far, you can afford to leverage on the profit we have made so far this week by placing a buy stop order just right above that $89 area to capitalize on that uptrend continuation. However, if you are new with us today and this is going to be your first time taking advantage of trading opportunities here, I will be suggesting that you hold on for confirmations before you jump into any position here. And what you want to be doing is, as soon as we have a breakout of structure, hold on for a retest of structure, which of course could still drop into the ascending trend line before we want to be joining an uptrend scenario here. So this is how we are going to be capitalizing on an uptrend move in this particular market. Excuse me. So that is how we are going to managing this uptrend continuation at this point. So we look out for more opportunities at the breakout of the $89 area. So let's see how the market will play out from this area, and of course let's allow the structures to mature before we jump into the position. So our center of focus for today is basically between the $89 level and the $88.50 area, where the breakout of any of this level is likely going to be giving us an insight into the where price will be heading to for the second half of this week. So these are my views here on the US All Spots for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move right into the next financial asset. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So we shall be moving right into the next financial asset on our watch list. So the next asset on our watch list here is the USTech 100. And in fact, since the beginning of the week, we've been doing pretty well on this asset. We had moments where we bought, we had moments where we sold, and in both instances, we did very, very well as price action moved significantly well. Now, let's look at how the week started for us here on the USTech 100. So, at the beginning of the week, it was more of an uncertainty around the market structure here, as we saw price confined within the 15,323 level and the 15,288 area to emphasize the level of indecision at that particular point in time. And you all know how we do it whenever we have a range like this where price is confined within. We want to exercise patience where we look out for either the breakdown or the breakout of that range for buying or trading or selling opportunities. And exactly what happened here on Monday was the breakout of the resistant line as we saw here. And in fact, for those who missed out on that opportunity, the market came into the zone to retest it with buy pressure to inside that uptrend move. And as at the first day of the week, we were privileged to be part of a significant movement in price action as we saw the first position move over 150 pips while the second position moved over 800 pips. So we were able to scoop roughly about above 200 pips before that bearish momentum happened. And one of the things we discussed here on Tuesday or on Monday, sorry, was on Tuesday morning, sorry, we said here that we shall continue to use this ascending trend line as a yardstick to guide our buying opportunities in this market. That is, as long as price remains above that ascending trend line, we shall feel comfortable in the buy positions while we look out for more opportunities above the 15,470 area. But that did not happen, and of course a breakdown retest of that trend line was all we needed to confirm a bearish move. And we saw what happened here on Tuesday. Price broke down, retest the trend line which falls around the 15,400, and of course we did capitalize on that bearish move as we rode that move all the way into this area here before buy pressure resumed. So we were able to scoop over 100 pips on that one. And remember that we had multiple entries on this one as we added more positions, had the breakdown of the 15,375 level as you will see here. We also had a 15,323 and a 15,000 300 area to maximize the potential of that bearish move. And interestingly, during our live session yesterday, we acknowledged the emergence of buying pressure below the 15,300. So we saw here that in the last 12 hours yesterday, buy pressure resumed here, and it became a suspect that we might likely be seeing price breakouts of the 15,300 to incite a bullish momentum. And as a result of this, I told us all that we are going to be positioning ourselves above this area, waiting for a breakout and retest of that structure to confirm the uptrend scenario. And that was exactly what happened here. We saw price breakout, came back to retest, and boom, price continued to find higher highs and higher lows. And for those who took advantage of this opportunity, you will currently be running with over 100 pips in profit at this point in time. Once again, well done to you for being on standby to have capitalized on this move. And in fact, if you are able to maximize the potential of this move by adding more entries at both the 15,375 and the 15,400, you would have been able to at least increase the number of pips you will be scooping in on this one. Now, remember what we normally do in this community. Whenever price action moves significantly well in our favor, the next thing we want to be doing is to move all our stop losses, secure these current positions while we look out for more opportunities to capitalize on this uptrend if price will continue to climb to the upside. And from the look of things right here, I will be suggesting that anywhere below the 15,360 seems most appropriate to secure all buy positions. Move your stop loss anywhere around this area, and remember that we want to give enough room for price action to breathe in anticipation of the potential uptrend continuation. Now, with a well secured position at this juncture, what is going to be our next line of action? Are we going to continue buying the USTech100 today, or is it likely that we are going to be seeing some profit taking activity today that will send price crashing to the downside? And in fact, remember that we have a couple of high impact events coming in from the US economic docket, the PPI data, that is the producer price index, and the retail sales data, which of course will have a significant influence on this market. The anticipation of this event alone will be reflected on the chart as price action. So let's look at what our plans will be for today and how we intend to capitalize on any potential trading opportunities during the New York session today. And before we can go into that details, I would like to refresh our memories as regards to what we talked about the structure at the beginning of the week. Now, let's look at the structure closely. At the beginning of the week, we acknowledge that price action has been on a strong bullish momentum since the beginning of this year. And to further emphasize this momentum, we connected the series of higher lows, giving us an ascending trend line to work with for this week. Now, as long as price remain above our ascending trend line, we of course want to be looking out for buying opportunities. Now, in addition to that trend line was a beautiful key level which was situated around the 15,250 area, and in fact we emphasize how this level had played a major role in determining the direction of price action since the month of June. We saw how this level was a selling niche at some point. We saw it right here, selling niche here, before it was finally broken in the month of July. Though price broke down a couple of times here, whereby transitioning into what looked like a reversal pattern, remember, in the form of a double bottom structure where that key level served as the neckline of that reversal pattern. Now we saw the breakout of the key level, which of course was the neckline of the reversal pattern, and then we saw price come back to retest the structure. And since the beginning of this week, we have continued to notice buy pressure above that 15,250 level to further support the idea of looking out for buying opportunities in this market. Now, with the way things are going right now and with the continued buy pressure above that key level, it makes quite a lot of sense that we look out for more buying opportunities in this market. Now, another thing that we should also take note of, which further buttresses the crucial nature of where price action is right now, is this descending trend line we spotted here. Now, look at what has been going on here since the beginning of this week. We have been noticing selling pressure around that trend line to emphasize that price might likely be respecting that trend line one more time. So the question going into today's trading session is, are we going to be seeing the breakout of this trend line to incite an opportunity to buy this asset, or are we likely going to see price respect that trend line one more time, which might incite a breakdown of both the ascending trend line and that key level at the 15,250 to incite a sell-off. Now, for us to have a better perspective into what is going on here and what is likely going to happen in the nearest future, we shall scale down into a much more lower time frame. Now, on the lower time frame here, I have it on the 4 hours time frame here, where I'm beginning to notice that we have a reversal pattern here. Look at this impulsive move right into the structure. Price came back, and the inability of price action to break down the previous low is a clear sign that we might likely be seeing an uptrend movement. And if this happens, we want to be adding more positions at the breakout of this potential neckline of that reversal pattern we just spotted now, which is at the 15,470 level, where we shall be looking out for more opportunities to maximize that move. Now, scaling down into the 1 hour time frame, let's see how to position ourselves for this move. Now, we already have price continue to the upside with strong momentum, as you will see here. So we have another level here. This is the highest point in the last 24 hours that price action has gotten into. That is the 15,430. That's the highest point here, right here. So let me label that one 340 level. So you do want to be marking that level out on your chart, as we shall be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions for today. Now, I want to see price action do a breakout. Hold on a second. I'm trying to bring this one into the picture. So we want to see a breakout retest of these levels to give me more opportunities to join an uptrend continuation. So if price continues to move in our favor, we had more buy position at the breakout retest of structure. We continue to add more at the breakout retest of the $15,470 zone. So this is how we are going to be buying or adding more positions to our existing trade on the USTech100. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity, you know how we do it in this community, we also want to keep tabs with the opposite direction too as well. We want to look at the potential sellers have here. Do sellers have any chances at all to push price to the downside? Well, we never can tell until structures are broken to the downside. And one of the structures we shall be using to guide this expectation is the 15,375 level. This level shares a confluence with this ascending trend line. Let me show you quickly this ascending trend line here. So we have this ascending trend line marked out on the higher time frame. So if I use, let me give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about here. So this is the ascending trend line here. It has been respected for quite a while now. And if at any point in time today this trend line is broken to the downside, then we might likely start considering selling. Remember, price action is right around that descending trend line we identified on the daily time frame. Can I show you that one more time so that we can all be on the same page? So this is the daily time frame right here, and this is what I showed you earlier. I emphasized this bearish trend line where price is right there. So if this trend line is respected and we begin to see selling pressure there, then we'll have no other choice than to get ready to sell with the hopes that price will break down the key level and that main ascending trend line to incite a strong sell-off. Now let's go back into the 1 hour time frame. So if we begin to see selling pressure around this area, that leads into the breakdown of this ascending trend line here and the 15,375 level, then a breakdown retest of the structure will be all we need to confirm a bearish move. But I doubt if this will happen today. But if it does happen, we want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. So we want to be marking out these levels on our chart, as we shall be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions for today. So our center of focus for today is between the 15,340 level and the 15,375. Let's see how the market would react to the structure in the next couple of hours to decide what our next line of action. And remember, I said here we're looking out for buying opportunity, breakout retest of structure, breakout retest of the structure to continue to maximize that move. And if price breaks down the support level, then we look out for selling opportunities here. So let's see what happens here. And if you have any questions as regards to my explanation, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, please drop them and let's see what happens. And I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, while you can also use that time to mark out these levels on your charts. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So, we shall be moving right into the next financial asset on our watch list. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD. What an indecisive market we have right here on the pound sterling, the cable market, as we are yet to see any significant movement in price action. Though we have been buying this asset since the beginning of the week, but price really didn't move very well, as we were taken out at a worst case scenario break even at both instances. And let's look at how the week has started for us here in this community and what has been transpiring in this market so far. Now, look at what has been going on here. The week started on a bullish note, actually, as we saw price started at around the 1.24620 level. In fact, this was just right above our key level that we identified for this week. And you know how we use our key level in this community. As long as price remains above that key level, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. Now, we saw this impulsive move at the beginning of the week. We saw it right here. And for those who missed out on the breakout of that descending trend line, remember price broke out of that descending trend line for the first time in the last couple of weeks right here. So you saw the trend line broken, and it was at this point we begin to suspect that we might likely be in for an uptrend movement. So we said we are going to be joining that bullish momentum at the retest of structure. We saw the retest happen here. We'll be part of that move. Price moved about, how many pips was that? About 50 pips. And guess what happened? Sell pressure resumed around the 1.253 to take us out of that position. And of course, we did move our stop loss, like we always say here in this community. When price moves very well, move your stop loss, secure your position. Then we saw price drop down. And one of the things we agreed here at the beginning of the week is that since we already have a breakout of that descending trend line, there are chances that price will come back, retest that trend line to incite an uptrend move. Now, when price got back into that trend line here, we saw price drop back into the trend line around the 1.24620. In fact, for about 7 good hours, we saw buy pressure there. And the signs that sellers were struggling to break through that structure further emphasized that we might likely be going bullish at this point. So we took advantage of some bullish opportunities there, and price did not move very well, just as it did on Monday. Price moved about 40 pips and sell pressure resumed again, taking us out of that position. So you agree with me that this market is really, really very indecisive at this point in time. Now, going into today's trading session, what is going to be our plans? What is really going on in this market? Well, the first thing you would observe here, based on this current market structure right here on the 1 hour time frame, is that since the beginning of since last week Thursday, this zone here between the 1.24620 and the 1.24500 area had been a major buying niche in this particular market. As you will see that every time price comes into this area, all attempt by the sellers to break through the structure has been met with strong resistance from the buyers, and as a result of this area will be considered as a demand zone. And look at what has been going on here. Even during the course of yesterday's trading session, we saw attempt by the sellers to break through, but it was met with strong resistance from the buyers. And at this point in time, we need to be very careful. So as long as price remains above this zone here between the 1.24620 and the 1.245, it's reasonable to look out for buying opportunities. But if structure says that sellers are gradually gaining momentum, we want to sell, but ensure that we are on standby to move our stop losses accordingly, as buyers could still pick up from this area as we're still within the buyer's territory. So now, with this information in mind and this structure around that demand zone area, we notice that since the beginning of the week, this current market outlook gradually transitions into lower highs here. As you will see, after connecting the series of lower highs, we had a descending trend line. And this further buttresses that sellers might likely be coming in. But what happened yesterday was interesting. We saw the breakout of that structure. And after the breakout of that trend line, what happened next? We saw a consolidation phase. Now, in the last 22 hours now, price was ranging between the 1.25 and the 1.24875 to emphasize the level of indecision in this market, giving us a consolidation phase to work with. And you know how we do it in this community. Whenever price action falls into a range like this, it emphasizes uncertainty, and we have no other choice than to exercise patience, waiting for either the breakout or the breakdown of that range to give us an opportunity to trade. So all we are going to be looking out for in this kind of scenario is either price breakout of the resistance line at the 1.25 to incite a bullish momentum, or we wait for price to break down, retest the support line to incite a sell move. And after noticing this, I took advantage of a bearish opportunity here after the breakdown retest of that structure happened. And in fact, I had moved my stop loss to secure this position, as we never can tell, buyers can still come in to take over this market. Remember, this zone here has been a strong buying niche since the beginning of this week. So let's see how the market is going to be playing out around this area. Now, I already have a sell position triggered. Price is running in profit, and if you are taking advantage of that move, really do move your stop loss right now to secure that position. Now, what are we going to be doing here to capitalize on any potential opportunity? Now, price could still come back to retest the 1.24875. It's very, very possible. So if it does come back and we begin to see certain pressure, signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that level, then we could had more sell position and join that momentum to the downside. But one thing here that will make us feel very, very comfortable in the sell position is for price action to take out all the buy positions within this zone here, and this would reflect on the chart as a significant breakdown of this structure. So if we see this breakdown of structure, then a retest will be all we need to be part of this bearish move. So if that happens, we want to be adding more sell position to our existing trade. So at this point in time, with the way things are right now, this bearish momentum is still not I won't call it concrete right now. It's not concrete at this point in time. So whenever we have any sell position, as long as price remains above this 1.245, let's ensure that we always move our stop losses to secure that position just in case any bullish momentum comes in at any point in time. So I remain bearish within a buyer's territory at this point, while we remain very conscious, ensuring that we move our stop losses as soon as price moves very, very well in our favor. Let's hope that it will continue to the downside, and if it does break down this zone, then we will be very, very confident to add more sell position to our existing trade. However, the only condition here that will make me want to be buying the GBPUSD for today is for price action to take out all the sell positions within this 1.25 zone. That area there is a strong psychological level considering the round figure of that price. Now, for me to buy, I need price to take out that position significantly well, and in fact I need a retest for confirmations before I jump into any buy position at that point. So let's see how the market will play out within the structure. Our center of focus is basically between this area. If price remains below the zone, we remain bearish, and if price breaks out of that zone, we look out for buying opportunities. So let's mark these levels out on our chart, as this is where our center of focus is going to be for today's trading session. And if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current setup, or you need further clarifications to what I've explained so far, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the last financial asset on our watch list for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So let's ensure that our levels are duly marked out on the chart, and we shall be moving right into the next financial asset on our watch list. All right, so the next asset on our watch list now is my favorite, and that is the XAUUSD. And what is the XAUUSD saying here? Remember, we have been selling the XAUUSD since the beginning of this week, and we have roughly about 100 pips there about running from two positions, which is not that significant really, considering the the time of the week we are right now, and considering comparing it to what we have been doing on this asset, especially during this time of the week. But the way things are really going right now, the market is still favoring the US dollar, and the data coming in from the United States has been promising, supporting the idea of further interest rate hike, with majority in the major investors will want to be taking advantage of that window to invest more in the US dollar. Now, from a technical standpoint, let's look at what has been going on in this market since the beginning of this week. Now, at the beginning of this week, the week in fact started on a strong bullish momentum, as we saw price started at around the 1916 level with a strong impulsive move right into the 1928, and as soon as price tested the 1928 zone, we begin to see selling pressure around this area, which led to price continue to nosedive to the downside. And remember, at the beginning of the week, we were actually thinking that price will continue to the upside. So we were looking forward to the retracement of this impulsive bullish move, where we looked out for buying opportunities around this area, which of course got triggered, but unfortunately we were taken out of that one in a loss. And one thing we said here is that if price continues to the downside and breaks down that 1916 level, a level which was a buying niche at the beginning of the week, that we shall be looking out for selling opportunities. Now look at the structure. Price broke down on Tuesday, and since that Tuesday, price had continued to drop and find lower lows in this market. And one thing we said here yesterday is that we should all move our stop losses to this entry point here, secure the position, and let's see what will happen. But since yesterday, price is here to take us out of that position, as our sell position continues to get stronger and bearish here. Now, with the situation here, for those who still have a sell position here, I hope you've moved your stop losses accordingly. Kindly secure this position, move your stop loss to anywhere between the 1912 and the 1910 area, just right above that ascending trend line, to secure your positions at this point in time. Now, with a well secured position at this juncture, what is going to be our next line of action? Now, looking at the structure and considering that we are all anticipating the PPI data and the retail sales coming up much more later in the day, you will notice that the market participants in this market have been anticipating this event, and this has reflected on the chart as an indecisive phase, where price was confined within the $1,913.50 level and the 1909 area, to emphasize the level of indecision in this market. And because of this scenario here, it is quite clear that it is quite clear that everyone is, as the major participant in the market, has stepped aside, waiting for this event to give us clue of what is likely going to be happening at this juncture. Now, if you look at the structure here, it's price is still below that descending trend line. So since the beginning of the week, we have a descending trend line that has been supporting our bearish position in this market, and as long as price remains below our descending trend line, we have no other choice than to continue to look out for selling opportunities in this market. Now, with the way things are going right now, for me to join more selling opportunities here, I want to see price drop below the 1905 to add more sell positions to our existing trade. So that is how we are going to be maximizing the current sell position we have running in this particular market at this point in time. However, if price action continues in such a way that it breaks out of both the descending trend line and the 1909 area, a level which has been a strong support line before the breakdown happened this morning, well, we'll start getting ready to anticipate an uptrend move. And remember, we are not jumping in right away, as we shall be waiting for confirmations to happen, like a retest of structure, where the appearance of buy pressure on our lower time frame will be all we need to confirm the uptrend continuation. So that is how we are going to be buying here. So you can see how the descending trend line here is going to be serving as a significant factor in determining what our next line of action will be in this market. So you do want to be marking out that descending trend line on your chart, and let's see how the market would react to that level, and ensure that you have your orders placed anywhere below the 1,950 to capitalize on a downtrend continuation. But if price breaks out of the 1,909 and that descending trend line, then let's look out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of buying this asset. So this is my view here on the XAUUSD. Please note that our center of focus on the XAUUSD right now is right within the 1,090 level, and of course the $1,905.50 area, where we shall be waiting for either the breakout of that resistance line or the breakdown of that support line for an opportunity to trade. So this is my view here on the XAUUSD. Please don't forget, for those who have sell positions running, ensure that you move your stop losses accordingly and secure this current sell position. So let me see if there are any questions. If you need further clarifications, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we draw the curtain for today. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. And it's on this note I would like to be drawing the curtain for today. It has been a wonderful moment with you guys today. And in fact, we were able to attend to 4 financial assets, which are the instruments we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week, which includes the USOILSPOT, the USTech100, popularly known as the NASDAQ. Then we have the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot, and all of which we were able to identify simple setups using parameters such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns to gain valuable insights, and as well strategically position ourselves ahead of the New York session today. And for those who still have a position running, I told you all, we should be securing our position. Move your stop losses accordingly. Lock in your positions as we look forward to economic features from the United States today that has a tendency of moving price action in a significant direction today. So let's ensure we move our stop losses accordingly. And for those who joined us today for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain 1 or 2 things from what we talked about here today. And in fact, I encourage you to be part of our subsequent editions, as the more time you spend with us, the better you get in using the information you have here to make your own independent trading decisions. So I look forward to seeing you all guys tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, as we come here again to review how well these assets have been doing so far, and at the same time prepare ourselves for the last trading day of the week. So it's on this note I wish you all the best of luck, and do have a wonderful and beautiful evening. Bye bye.